Hey, we are closing out the pre-draft chatter right now. We're going to talk a little offensive lineman, maybe some wide receivers, some tight ends. But man, there's so much that the Steelers give us to talk about. It's like a freaking train wreck down there on 3,400, whatever the hell way that is. I don't know. The guys and I just blowing up each other's phones. We're lost in space. This isn't like the old Steelers where they were predictable. These guys are losing their minds. So today, we're going to shake things up and try and figure something out. Special guest joining us today, my guy, Doug Riley. You'll see his name come up as Scrapper, having some video problems, but that's okay. He's going to be a good contributor. You can also find Doug's writing on the Original Sports Podcast webpage. So we're excited to have him join us. Let's get this thing rocking. How about that? Fellas. Aaron Rodgers to DK Metcalf down the right sideline. Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers. No.
Not going to happen.
No.
Hey, what's going on?
I don't know what's going to happen. What do you think, Shane?
Rodgers is the quarterback who can read all the reads and make all the throws.
Okay.
So I think it's going to happen.
Ain't nobody else out there. Who are you going to take?
Run, Rudolph.
If you're willing to sacrifice the season, probably. Yeah.
I mean, listen.
You know what? He could probably get you to 10-7. What do you think, Chops? Merle, what do you think?
The team's not going anywhere anyway. So does it really matter?
Oh, man.
Does any of you guys think this team's going anywhere this year? Do you have hope? Are we a championship team no matter what?
Merle, we talk about this just about every day. I keep the hope all the time. So you can join Chops. He's angry over there. This guy right here. Chops. He's angry. Yeah, I keep the faith. Yeah, I'm keeping the faith like Billy Joel, man. You know, I'm keeping the faith.
Fellas, we believe the sun is going to rise tomorrow because it has so many times in the past. Seriously. It doesn't matter who Tomlin brings in. We've been through the list of quarterbacks that Tomlin has had. Let's not forget, he didn't draft Ben. But all the guys that he has brought in, from the Dobbs to whomever, not one quarterback, let's start with quarterback, not one quarterback has been better when they left than when Tomlin got him. So he's not developing talent there.
I love this guy.
Number one. Number two, seriously, real talk, right? Number two, the late Denny Green said, "You are what your record says you are." Steelers are going to make the playoffs or barely get in. They're going to get knocked to the dirt like Tomlin always does. But as everybody, you know, Sheen, you and I go back and forth on this with Rodgers. Rodgers had everything he wanted, got the coach fired in New York, and still only won 5 games. You are what you say your record is. So I don't understand why everybody's like, let's get Rodgers. He's not the Rodgers of 7-8 years ago. And when he had everything he wanted, he knew the offense. That was his second year in the offense. He got what he wanted, and they still only won 5 games. And it's not like he was lighting it up like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow lit it up, but his defense gave it up, and they just were trash. The Bengals. That's not what was going on with Rodgers. I just don't get how Rodgers had hoodwinked, bamboozled everybody to think that he's going to be an improvement or he's much better than Russ. I showed you guys the numbers.
I seen him, but I don't agree when you say he had everybody. Who do you have? Garrett Wilson's not that great, dude. He's not.
Hold on. He made sure he's the one who wanted to get rid of the coach. And let's not forget that Monday night before they fired Salah, they were in contention for number one. And I understand they were only 5-6 games in. He brought in Devontae Adams. He brought in Lazard. He's the one who didn't show up.
You know what, Chops? You could be on to something. Maybe he can get Tomlin fired.
No, that ain't happen.
You know what? To your point there, though, the Jets' defense did not play up to what they were expected to. So you mentioned the Bengals. The Jets' defense was way underperformed last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And statistically, didn't have a bad year last year.
Okay. Now, let's not forget, 2 years ago when the Jets brought Rodgers in, they said they honestly. Do you realize the Jets got no better with Rodgers than they did with Zach Wilson? Let's keep it a buck. They
That's
were
true.
no better. And when Rodgers came in, the reason they took Rodgers and got rid of Zach Wilson was because Rodgers that one piece they needed. Rodgers that one piece they needed. And you're absolutely right. Maybe the defense didn't play up to what everybody thought they were. But when the offense was Garbino's and you got a future Hall of Famer, I can't knock Rodgers because he is living off the lore. The fact that he hasn't done anything in the last few seasons he's actually played, and he still has teams, and I hate the fact that my Steelers are one of them, waiting around, like a desperate hooker at the end of call. I don't know what it is. He's just waiting around for somebody to pick him. It bothers me, seriously. Scrapper, the fact that your boy, and I say your boy, but the fact that Rodgers can do this, tell teams, I'll wait. Are you kidding me? It's not like you're coming off an MVP season. It's not like you just threw for 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns with 4 interceptions. The fact that he's still and he's doing it, but that's what bothers me. I'm going to wait. I'm going to sit back. Let me wait to decide what I want to do. Well, you know what? Go ahead and wait while you decide while we move on. Regardless of what you think, Fields moved on. Wilson moved on. Jameson moved on. Rodgers is the only guy that still believes I am what I used to be 7 years ago. That ain't it, bro.
In his defense, though,
I disagree.
his second half of the
season
was much, much better than the first part of the season. He still was coming back from that Achilles injury. And that's a major injury. His second half of the season was much better. I'll give him that. I'll also say this. I think that the whole reason we're even playing this game is because Mike Tomlin wants to play this game.
Oh, it is definitely because Tomlin's playing.
This is all because Mike Tomlin wants to play this game. He's in love with Aaron Rodgers. He thinks that dude is going to bring to the table everything they need to get to the next level. Because he doesn't have to coach Aaron Rodgers.
That's right.
He doesn't have to coach him. Just like he didn't have to coach Ben.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, I'm going to disagree with that. I mean, the NFL sets the market. I mean, if you look what Russell Wilson got with the Giants, wasn't much. It's basically saying, placeholder, it's cheap, not as cheap as last year, but it's cheap. Teams are out there wanting Aaron Rodgers. There's a reason for that. They think that he's still got, something left in the tank, not future, but those guys know a lot more than we do, and he's still of interest.
Scrapper, I would agree with you. Except when you say these NFL guys know more than we do, we all have other jobs going on. These are the guys that all they do is pick talent, and they still miss out on number one picks all the time. So that to me tells me they're guessing just like we are, and they have more information than we have. The fact that how many quarterbacks, just alone in the last 2-3 drafts, that have been taken overall in the first round and are now with other teams. Lets me know you guys are guessing. It kills me when they go through pro day, all this, the draft, everything, invest all kind of money, and you miss. Hell, you can pay me Joe Shine salary to miss. You can pay me Dayball salary to coach 3 wins.
You can pay me half the salary to do any of that.
There you go. And real quick, Scrapper, is you're saying you're right. The NFL does dictate, right? But what I don't get is, in as much as Barber said, he, as in Rodgers, played much better in the second half. He still only won 5 games the entire season. Russ won 6. Russ had a gauntlet of a second half of that season, and the defense went to shit in Pittsburgh. But nobody is taking, if you're going to talk about second half, talk about the second half, what Russ went through. And I did it to these guys. You weren't part of the text group, Scrapper, but I did it to these guys a couple of weeks ago where I sent a text with no name. And I put, no, that wasn't, it was a different text where I sent a text, no name, but just numbers. And Russ's numbers last year were better with his completion percentage. The only thing, he threw more interceptions and touchdowns did Rodgers, but completion percentage, this, that, and the third, I just don't get how Rodgers has everybody still thinking I'm the guy that can help you win. If you want to put Russ and Rodgers on the same level, great. But also real quick, and I'd like to hear Scrapper's thing on this. Everybody says these guys, the guys like playing for Tomlin. Fields got his ass out of Pittsburgh. Russ didn't wait to see what Tomlin's going to do. Najee didn't give him a chance to match what the Chargers did. And now Rodgers, who could have signed with Pittsburgh weeks ago, is making Tomlin wait. So can we knock that shit off? Guys want to play for Tomlin?
Both QBs left for a bigger market. Najee left because he's sad. He's sad, man. He's slow. He can't he can't see the hole.
He's the number one.
I don't give a damn.
He's listed as the number one breakout player on San Diego because they have a quarterback and receivers.
Yeah, he's
and a line.
And a line.
He was a first round pick, and he's 6 years, and now he's going to be the breakout guy. 6 years.
You just said it.
5.
They left for bigger market. The entire thing was guys like playing for Tomlin. That was why I said this. Everybody says they like playing. Well, I like playing for Mike, but for some reason they don't end up signing in Pittsburgh. They go elsewhere. Well, I like signing for. I wanted to play for Mike, but this team offered me more money. I wanted to play for Mike, but this was a bigger market. Then stop saying you wanted to play for Mike. You didn't want to play for him. It's easy to say after the fact.
They used to want to play for him.
Right. So if you like Pepsi, so if you got a job with Pepsi or Coke, and Coke offers you more money, but you like Pepsi, where are you going?
Hold on. Then I say it was for money. Don't let it be out there that I'm a Coke guy. I'm a Coke guy. Well, why'd you choose Pepsi? They offered me. No. It didn't matter because all these guys have made boatloads of money, and it just that bothers me. That bothers me. Guys like and Scrapper said something. Guys used to like playing for Tomlin. Well, they say that Minka was traded to Tomlin. This year we got Russ. Last year they brought Russ, they brought Fields, and they brought Queen. What other big names have ever signed for Steelers in Pittsburgh? They lost a whole lot in free agency, but what other big names have ever signed? Big splash name players have ever signed with Tomlin in free agency?
Well, I mean, do those players really have insight into Mike Tomlin, or are they getting that national media cliche clip, stuff, and they think, oh, this guy, and then now the people are coming to realize the guy's he's full of shit. I mean, he doesn't produce. That's the bottom line.
And
he's a great talker. He's got cliches for miles. But I mean,
sound like king.
Results, it just hasn't been there. So, I mean, I think players maybe liked the thought of the cliche machine, and I'll go play for that guy. He's so cool. And then you start to realize that it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm picking up what Scrapper's laying down on that one. I'm picking up what he's laying down.
Next.
Yeah. Let's listen because me and Sheen are gonna end up coming to blows over this. I'm already telling you that. Now lock us in the cage at the next wrestling match.
Hey,
me and Sheen.
All I'm going to tell you about all this is the Pirates started the season.
Oh, here we go.
With Tommy Pham looking at a called third strike.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. Yep. Tommy fucking Pham. Thank God we spent money on that guy. Anyway, back to this other bunch of losers.
Bam.
At the end of the day, what do you do though? What do? Do you give Rodgers $30 million if he was not the Steelers' first choice. He wasn't even really interested, but nobody else wanted him. He wanted to go to Minnesota. He was very, very clear about that. He wanted to go to Minnesota.
I don't know what Minnesota offered him, but fellas, it doesn't also.
They said
it doesn't also bother you. He's taken so long to make his decision, and that's why Minnesota said we're out. That bothers me, dude. You're whatever team it would be. You're going to a new team. You're getting older, and you're still want to take this much time off. You need to be in a new building ASAP to get your playbook, whatever. I understand you have the talent. You're not what you used to be 7 years ago, but still, chemistry matters to some degree. And he's not even.
You think
he's
he
like,
really wants to play?
Well, why at this point? Why at this point would he want to come to the Steelers? You go join the Vikings, and you got a chance to go to another Super Bowl. You've got hope.
Yes,
you got hope with the Vikings. You don't
play indoors a lot. Yes.
Why do you want to 40 years old? Why do you want to go play for the Steelers when you just don't have the ingredients around you to truly be a contender? I mean, I don't think they do.
Not at all. Not at all.
Wait a minute. We don't have nothing. We just got a new receiver with another good receiver, a good tight end. I mean, the defense is solid, pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with that. And who's running the show here? All right, you're still going to have this watered down. We can't have, any innovative offense. We do the same thing on defense. It's just like Julian Edelman said. It doesn't matter who you have if you're not going to let them do it. I mean, you mentioned about Rodgers and Wilson and the different QB numbers. Where was Wilson throwing those balls last year? We've got this, Neanderthal offense that we run. So, yeah, I mean, maybe you're going to have some half decent looking numbers, but they're not winning you games.
Okay.
They're winning you just enough to get in the playoffs and get knocked out once you start playing better teams. They're beating teams that they match up with that they should beat early on in the year. They had a great record early on in the year. Let's face it, they went into that 5-game skid at what, 10-2? What were they? I can't remember. Were they 10-2?
They lost 5 straight. So,
yeah. So they were 10-2 going into that skid. And the thing that bothered me the most about that skid was he never did anything different to try and snap them out of that. Never did a damn thing. We keep talking about Aaron Rodgers. We talk about, Russ Wilson and Justin Fields and Arthur Smith. We're not talking about the main culprit, fellas. Everything leads back to the head coach. Every one of these things. It's irrelevant who they bring in at quarterback. The only reason I'd be okay with Rodgers, and this is the only reason, fellas, not only can he still make the throws, but he's not going to listen to what Tomlin has to say. He's not. What's Tomlin going to do? Bench Aaron Rodgers?
I'll tell you right now, here's a game breaker for all you guys. Not that you're going to disagree, but the Steelers' greatest position of need. Now, we got the draft coming up. The Steelers' greatest position of need is the guy calling the shots. We need a different Rooney. That's where it all trickles down.
We've been saying that. Yeah. We've been saying that, Merle. Listen, his son is only in his mid-30s, so he's not going to take over that team just yet. When the Chief stepped away, he was like 75. When Dan stepped away, he was 75, and this clown is 72 years old, and he's not going to step away until Tomlin's contract is up for a couple of reasons. Number one, he'll be 75. Number two, he doesn't want to have to hire Tomlin's replacement. Hey, that's why he won't do anything with Tomlin. That's why he keeps giving him a contract. He doesn't want to hire somebody who's going to commit and fail. Well, guess what? Tomlin's already failing. He has no leadership in that locker room. These guys have already said. Najee said it.
He doesn't allow locker room leaders. Everything's got to feed back to Daddy Mike. That's a lot of what's wrong with this. Everything's got to feed back to Daddy Mike.
So, I mean, that's where we are. Skeens with a strikeout on against his first batter, by the way. I'll keep you posted. Skeens. That's our savior right there in Pittsburgh. That's going to be the next.
He'll be playing for the Yankees next year.
Huh? No, he's got a couple more years in Pittsburgh. Please. Right. Hey, fellas, let's take a look at this free agent group and give some grades on this free agent group that they actually brought in, because it's not pretty. It's not a pretty group. Okay. They revised Holcomb's contract and saved nearly $5 million on that. Was that necessary, or could we have cut Holcomb loose?
Well, if he's back to normal, I like him. I mean, I don't see no problem with that.
Okay. All right.
I probably would have kept Roberts too, but we can get on to that, I guess, sometime. But yeah, if Holcomb's back to 100%, yeah, I like him. I mean, he can cover. We know he's going to hit somebody. I mean,
now we know that the Steelers went out and traded for Metcalf. I'm throwing him in the mix here. All right, good trade or bad trade, because they end up giving him 5 years, $150 million.
He's not even a legit number one.
Wait, who are we talking about?
DK.
Oh, whoa. He's not number one.
Njigba was number one in Seattle. He wasn't number one in Seattle. Look at, he's only had 66 yards, 66 catches over the last 3 or 4 seasons in Seattle. Your boy, he's not a number one. Again, look it up. Look, if you want to take your time, look up what his receptions are. That's like 4 receptions a game. That's not a number one guy.
So when you have 2 number 2s? Because Pickens can't be a number one.
I think skill set. Well, skill set. I like Pickens skill set wise, and they're both head cases. But without a quarterback to get them the ball, without an OC with an imaginative mindset to make plays for him. I don't care I don't see the reason of bringing any great receiver. And I don't care if you brought back Jerry Rice in his prime. If you don't have a quarterback that can get to him or O-line. Yeah, we got 2 offensive rookie of the year, that made all rookie team. But you have Jones that is, went through this, going to be playing a new position at left tackle. You have Fanatu, however you pronounce his name. He's coming back, but he's still rookie. It's his first year. You got 2 other guys who are in their second year. So you have a line that new position. The other guys have less than 2 years or less experience.
But in Rodgers, you have a quarterback who gets out the 3rd fastest in the NFL.
When he has, and maybe, but look at what receivers.
He doesn't need time if he's getting rid of the ball in under 2 seconds.
That's right.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay.
All the reads, chops.
Fellas, it was 3rd and 2, and we got 1 yard to Freiermuth. Nobody's running proper routes. Nobody in Pittsburgh is running many crossing routes.
Is that the quarterback's fault?
Yeah. That's Tomlin's fault.
That's Tomlin's fault.
Come on,
that's
dog.
not Arthur Smith.
It's not Arthur Smith's fault because Arthur Smith is playing with Tomlin's hands around his neck. You're not allowed to do those things. I mean, that's part of the archaic thing that we just keep doing. You know, where is the innovation? Where is the analytics? Where is bringing in people from the outside that are new, young minds and playing modern day football and not 2007 football? I mean,
they're going to challenge Tomlin, and he doesn't want to be challenged. If he's
never once. That's why Mike Munchak left.
I know.
Years ago.
They haven't had a good line since then. Let me ask you something. Piggybacking off what Scrapper said, since he is in Canada, since Canada has been fired, have we seen much of a difference in that offense?
No.
Everybody's checking down. Every QB's checking down. So it goes back. It doesn't matter who the OC is. Like you say, Barber, Tomlin doesn't want to be challenged. I don't know what it is, but we know nothing is changing. Different OCs, different quarterbacks, head coach still the same, offense looks the same.
He hires guys that are going to do that offense. That's what he does. He promoted from within when he got rid of Canada. What did those guys do? The running back coach and the Sullivan guy. They did the same thing Canada was doing. Same thing. And he hired Arthur Smith. He knew what he was getting. We knew what he was getting. He was getting the same thing Matt Canada was getting. The last guy he had that actually had any kind of, creativity at all goes back to Haley. Honestly, and he threw those quick screens all the time, but he still had some creativity weaved in there.
Haley was bad. Yeah, that was bad.
You know, so I don't know, fellas. It's just going to be a never-ending story. The only reason I'm okay with signing Aaron Rodgers is because he's going to challenge Tomlin.
Is he?
And I think that's part of the reason there's a standoff with him signing with Pittsburgh, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
Definitely. And I mean, he does give them, I think we would all agree, he gives them the best chance for more W's this year.
Thank you.
There's no question about that, right? I mean, whether they butt heads. What's Aaron Rodgers have to lose? If they call one play, it's like it's like the end of the movie in Rudy. Aaron Rodgers is going to be out there saying, like, run deep.
Exactly.
We're just going to do what we're going to do.
Is he challenging or just defiant? So there's a difference in challenging or defiant.
That's the same thing.
I think that's the same thing.
No, same thing.
If I'm challenging you and you call a curl, no, I saw that. I saw the safety was cheating. So on this play, I ran a fly route. But 8 out of every 10 calls you call I run. That's me challenging you. If you called a curl and I ran a fly route because I saw something in the safety. If I'm defying you and 90% of your offense is all checkdowns and I'm calling what I want, that's defying you. Those are 2 different things that will do 2 different things to the entire locker room. To me,
I disagree. That's the same thing.
No, dude, hold on for a second. Then I would, if you tell your child, if you're whatever it makes, defying you is something. I think they're totally different. If you're calling a play and I tweak it, I challenge you to be better. If I'm changing your entire thing, I'm defying you, and those will definitely be different odds.
So you're saying if I
challenge.
Going back to the kids thing, if the kid doesn't disagree with you, then they're going to not do what you said. So that's being defiant.
And he's not going to agree with Tomlin. He will do his own thing. That's not challenging you. That is defying you. He doesn't care. He and Salah, Salah didn't challenge him. They didn't get along as in let's challenge each other, make each other better. He didn't like Salah. They were defying each other. That's why he got fired. That is why he got fired. Ben, and you said Haley. Haley was the best thing that ever happened for Ben. Ben didn't like Haley. Haley and Ben and they fired Haley. We'll see. We can't all be right.
His contract ran out and they didn't renew it.
We'll see.
They didn't fire him.
They
didn't fire him. You know, the only offensive coordinator they really fired, they fired Canada, yeah, but he was at the end of his contract anyway by the time they got rid of him. The only guy they really fired was Bruce Arians. They didn't bring Bruce Arians back.
And because him and Ben got too tight. Ben was a lot more of a prima donna. We keep talking about Aaron Rodgers like he's that guy, but I think Ben was a lot more of a prima donna than history looks at him right now.
Yeah, I'd agree. I want you to kind of swing back to something Rasheen said the other day too. Merle, you weren't with us, but Rasheen said that when have you ever heard one of Aaron Rodgers' teammates call him out? When has a teammate ever said, anything really other than him and Mike Williams having an issue last year, you really don't hear teammates calling out Aaron Rodgers.
That's just people on the podcast. Like this guy
because
right here.
Hold on. But also everybody knew where Rodgers went. If you defied Rodgers, you'd be gone. You'd be gone. So you couldn't call out Rodgers. Fellas, say what you want. But you know the old saying, it's hard for me to believe what you say because I see what you do. We have seen Rodgers put teams on hold. We have seen Rodgers call out teammates. We have seen Rodgers go in and get coaches fired, whatever he did. So even if nobody's saying he's a terrible person, I'm looking at what you're doing. And yes, as Scrapper said, Ben would throw guys under the bus. He was a prima donna. But the way Rodgers has guys waiting this year, the way he leaves Green Bay, I'm coming back. No, I'm not. I'm coming back. No, I'm not. Come on. You can say you're right, Sheen. Nobody's calling him out. But he also, wherever he's went, it's been his way or the highway. If he says no,
let me tell you this, guys. I'm pretty good friends with a guy from the Green Bay Packers that was a starting offensive lineman with Rodgers, and talked to him. Whatever he says, Aaron, to the beat of his own drum for sure, and I think that's kind of magnified a little bit as his career's going on. But great dude. This was a guy that was a teammate for several years, starting lineman. You know how the camaraderie is between the lineman and the quarterback. Great dude, just a different kind of guy, just a California kind of dude, but good dude.
There we go. Straight from
I still think, dude, you have your own. You are obligated to sign a contract to go do a podcast, whatever. You again, guys can say someone is a good person. I'm watching you. Not show up for OTAs or whatever it was, Cam Stark, and then the coach says and the organization says we didn't know. Yes, you knew. You knew. We're watching you throw a bad pass and then call your guy out. You didn't hit the red line. We're watching you sit there and make teams wait. We're watching you have a podcast where you do your own thing on another network. It's hard for me again to believe you're that dude when I'm saying some of those things.
How about this, though, Mikey? How about the fact?
Wait, say that again.
He
said he thinks the quarterback should call out people.
Quarterback should call out people. I was
Ben
talking about quarterback starting in Little League. And listen,
Ben called out AB.
Guys dropped offsides. My coach in Little League would punch me upside my head. Hey, man, you need to get in his ass.
Well, like you said, the coach. But
what
also
would Manning have done? What would Brady have done? All the great quarterbacks, they hold their teammates accountable. Now, you got to have some credibility with them in order to do that and not cause turmoil. But, I mean, the good ones, like Rodgers.
But, fellas, y'all know I hated Brady. But if you also, Brady never, ever wanted to be the highest paid guy on a team because he wanted to have the pieces. Brady never made it.
No, he had a model for a wife. That's different.
Not for all those years. I mean, even when he did Bridget Monahan dirty, she wasn't no model, and he did her straight dirty. But he never
won his rookie contract. You got to get off that one. Come on,
dude. Roger, I'm not a Brady guy. Look, and I can't wait. Y'all know me. I am a I told you so guy. Now I want Rodgers to come. And if they go no more 8-7 wins, I'm going to be the biggest ass. I can't wait.
Is that what you really want them to do, though? You really want them to go 8-7?
Yes, because you guys think he is a difference maker. And I'm going to show you he's not.
None of us said he's a difference maker. We said he's a guy who's going to challenge Tomlin. That's what we
And
said.
you said he gives
We
them
said
the
he's a
best
guy who can make
chance to win.
throws. We haven't had a guy that can make these throws in how long?
You know,
Russ couldn't make the throws. Russ didn't throw the ball. He threw the ball down the middle of the field. How many times? We saw
we can count our hands how many times. Listen, I agree because it's his experience, man, is going to help with the reads, where to throw the ball. Some of them, like the film I showed you, some of them passes that they were throwing Fields and Wilson, they could have threw the receiver open. The one that he was coming across the middle, they tried to throw it there. He could have lobbed it, made him go from here to here and go. You can throw people open. That's a such thing.
Let me ask you guys this. Hold
9
on
quarterbacks.
1 second.
All
Right,
right,
so if we go into the season with Mason Rudolph as a quarterback, how many wins do the Steelers get?
10.
Mason's going to he
9
will
or 10. 9 or 10.
All right, if we bring in Aaron Rodgers and he's the starter, how many wins do we have?
12.
Well, I'm going to go lower on all of that. I'm going to say the Steelers are maybe a 7-win team with Rudolph, and I think Rodgers can bring that up to 10 or maybe 11 even.
Okay.
So it's the same kind of ratio. I just think you guys got a lot more faith in this team behind Mason Rudolph than what I do.
I got
well, it's not so much faith for me, but it is what they are, regardless of who their court. When he even had Duncan Mason, they still were whatever, and they're anywhere from a 9 to 10 win team, regardless of who has been there. Now, with me, what I worry about, there were 2 or 3 games last year where it had to be the scheme, because I find it hard to believe Watt just didn't show up, where Watt recorded no stats, and they're saying they changed the defensive scheme. That's what worries me. Are they going to change the defensive scheme to where I know the Steelers had a gauntlet in the second half, but just all of a sudden they just start giving up 30 a game? Watt has no stats. Is that the defense scheme, or is that the players just saying, hell, we don't want to be here? I mean, it can't be both, but I worry about the scheme they're going to run. That's what worries me more than anything about the defense.
Wasn't
They're so easy to figure out.
Yeah.
It wasn't. They didn't change the scheme. Everybody knew Watt was going to line up the same place every time. And maybe once out of every 5 or 6 times, he was going to drop into coverage. Maybe once out of every 8 times, he was going to drop into coverage onto the flats. But they knew exactly what Watt was going to do. Unlike Myles Garrett, who might rush from the middle, who might set himself up, start in the middle, end up going. Yeah, the Steelers have no creativity on defense because Mike Tomlin's still calling it Tampa 2 defense. Again, all roads lead back to Tomlin's house. Every road leads back to Tomlin's house.
I'd put all 3 of those guys out there to rush the quarterback. Herbig, Watt, and that Highsmith. Maybe sometimes drop one, but most of the time let them go.
When was the last time we had a linebacker playing in the middle like Vince Williams that would get pressure on running downs because he blitz on run downs and make plays? We haven't even had a guy like that.
Levon Kirkland was the last one.
Well, Vince Williams did it. Williams did. He was after Kirkland. But
we don't blitz like that. That was under LeBeau. We don't do things like that.
That was a beautiful defense. Beautiful.
Yes, it was. Bring it back.
And what happened? What happened to LeBeau, guys?
I mean, Cam Hayward had a career year this past year. Love the dude. Great quality guy. But, I mean, do we think that maybe the attention that T.J. Watt got 2 and 3 guys on him maybe gave Cam an opportunity to do a little bit more than he would have in that defensive scheme?
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, T.J. Watt still got to be moved around so he can make plays. Maybe you flip-flop him and Highsmith at different points in times. I mean, you just got to be creative. And that's something that the Steelers are still stuck. I keep saying this, Doug. I keep saying this and saying this and saying this. They are stuck in 1990s football, 1980s football, 1970s
Couldn't agree
football.
more.
You know, I mean, it's just it's disgusting. I can remember sitting in our fraternity house back in the day, just being angry as fuck, probably throwing shit because I was losing my mind watching it because it was the same shit every week.
That would have been the 80s, by the way, when you had hair.
All right.
No, seriously. I don't even blame Tomlin anymore. I'm kind of beyond that in a lot of ways.
It's all Rooney.
I went to post Tomlin. It is. I mean, and I've said it before, if I'm Mike Tomlin and I'm getting paid $15-16 million a year and nobody's really holding me accountable, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Hey, fellas, let's jump back to this free agency because we got back down that rabbit hole about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Hey, the Steelers went out and signed 34-year-old Darius Slay for $10 million. Is that a good signing? What would you grade that?
Is he 34 or 31?
He's
I thought
34 years old.
34.
Is he?
Yeah.
I thought 34.
Yeah, he's like 34. He's older than that.
He's 34.
Here's the thing.
So he's
The
still a young
signing-
man.
A corner though, 34.
That's
Here's
old.
the thing.
Kidding.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The signing, because he's come from a champion, he's got the experience. I'd like to see what he could do in helping, showing some technique to those younger corners. But for 10 million, I think they could have shaved a little bit off that, put it elsewhere.
He's not a starting corner though anymore. You know why they signed him? I can tell you why they signed him. You want to know? You want to know what's going on with? You want to know what's going on with their free agency, fellas? Yeah, Doug, you might know this.
They're not.
You guys might all know this. They are only signing guys who were cut
I said
or who are lower level guys because all these guys that they let walk that are getting signed to contracts, they're getting comp picks. They have 4 or 5 comp picks already going into next year. 4 or 5 of them.
They made that. They made that clear. They said that that's what they were doing. So.
But if Tomlin's still the coach next year, 10 years, and still not developing guys,
let's not circle back to Tomlin. Let's not circle back to Tomlin. Let's not circle back to Aaron Rodgers. Let's stick with
Slay is a C+. He's not a starter. His play dropped off last year. He did run a 4.3 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'll go C. I'm not going C+.
I'll go C. I'm with you. I'll go C.
C+.
I mean, his best quality is being, a champion. He's been a good player for a long time. Mentoring
Detroit too.
Joey Porter. I mean, Joey Porter needs some kind of guidance. Somebody's got to teach him how to not grab on every play.
Yeah.
Because that's just become his MO. He's going to get called more. He's a good player, but he just needs to learn how to, not grab and clutch on every play. So maybe that's
Dante Jackson wasn't the guy to help him do that. He wasn't the guy out there to develop him. If Pat Peterson would have displayed some skill levels still at the end of his career, he might have been okay. But they signed Pat Peterson right around the same age, and he dropped off pretty quick. All right, next guy. They cut Ogunjobi. They cleared up $7 million, and then they go out and they sign a backup linebacker from the Ravens, Malik Harrison. 2 years, $10 million. Fellas, they could have kept Landon Roberts for that.
Yes.
They could have kept Landon Roberts for that.
I agree.
I grade that. I grade that signing a D.
D. Yeah. Fellas, overall, I mean, we can go player through player, but if right now it'd be hard for me to go higher than a C. And if you told me D+ so far on everything they've done in free agency, I'm fine with that. I mean,
can I say one more thing? One more thing about Darius Slay. So $10 million, right? 34 years old. You can spend a hell of a lot less money than that on a DB coach that's actually good. You know what I mean? So you basically brought in a guy whose best attribute at this point is mentoring younger players. You can get a lot cheaper than that with a coach that actually knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about this. The guy that was their secondary coach who got interviewed by the Atlanta Falcons, he also was supposedly their best defensive coach by all accounts, and they cut him loose because his contract ran out. I don't know if he was bad or if what Tomlin was putting in place. Now, let's keep in mind in terms of what Tomlin did before he became the defensive coordinator for 1 year in Minnesota. He was a defensive backs coach. So I'm sure he has a say-so. The guy still wants to run Tampa 2. I could crush him with my Jeep if I saw him for running that Tampa 2. That shit's so old school. I don't even want to hear that, But I think that Harrison signing, I don't understand why you do that. Roberts did a great job of defending the run. You could have got him more involved. He was not extremely big, though. This Harrison kid's a little bit.
You're right. Real quick on that, Barber. Do you think they spoke to him and let him know, as in Robert, Wilson is going to get a lot more playing time this year. So between Wilson and Queen, your minutes or plays your reps may be lessened. And he was like, screw that. I don't know. I don't know. because I don't understand why you just let him walk.
He did one of those things, though, and I will say this: he played for the Steelers, 2 years? He did one of those deals where he sent a letter out in the newspaper, if I'm correct, or on Instagram or some shit. He sent a letter out thanking the city of Pittsburgh, and he talked about how much it was important to him to play there, how much he loved it. Landon Roberts was also a guy that the Steelers had circled when he was coming out of college. So when they had the opportunity to sign him, that was a great thing. I think what's happening here, though, and he's still young enough to be a difference maker. I think what's happening here is they're getting these guys and they don't plug into and fit the defense that they're trying to run now. Hey, the next guy I have on my list here is the only offensive guy signed thus far, Kenneth Gainwell. Okay, at this point, you got one running back, a third down back in Gainwell, again, coming from a championship pedigree. But do we need another guy like Jalen Samuels?
I mean, he's a third down back in a return.
Jalen Warren, you mean?
He's the new.
Yeah, that's who we meant, Scrapper.
He's the new Cordell Patterson once Patterson's
Jalen Warren,
released.
yeah. Sorry, buddy. Yeah.
He's the new Cordell once he's released. He's a third down return guy. I get at a C+.
I don't give it that. I mean, they need to draft a running back, right? Don't they?
Yeah.
Well,
they brought in
J.K. Dobbins like they're talking about doing.
There's a deep running back class. Deep running back class. I've heard Cam Scatterbo maybe in like the 4th round, something like that.
Ollie Gordon is my guy. That's the guy I want to see. He's a 4th, 5th round guy.
Fellas, and I get it's running back by committee, but are you, if you're calling, you put your GM hat on, all you guys, are you looking for a back, whatever round it is, or trade after June 1st, depending on whatever it may be? Are you looking for a back to come in and go 50-50 with Warren, or depending if he's going to be healthy? Or are you looking for a back who may not get 90% of the reps, but this is our number one? And then we're doing running back by committee because other guys are joining in. However, we do have a true number one at running back.
I like 50-50.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I love what New England did when they were winning Super Bowls. Whoever the hot hand guy was, that's the guy who got the most touches, the most carries, the most everything. Okay,
but Barbara, you're good on that. However, those were all those backs were almost carbon copies of each other. You know what I mean? So So on that aspect,
meant you didn't have to change your offense, right?
Exactly. So that's what I'm getting. Are the Steelers going to now get a back that hits the hole harder but doesn't catch as well? Or does he block and does he pick up the blitz? You know what I mean? I'm interested to see how they do that. What are they going for with the back?
One of the interesting things that they've done is they brought in Ollie Gordon, who I really like from Oklahoma State. His junior year, he had a huge year. He had like 28 touchdowns, 1,700 yards. He was spectacular. They were a loaded team his junior year. His senior year, last year, he didn't do so well. They were basically
a team fell off as well too. Well too.
But that kid, his weaknesses, he needs to learn how to block a little bit as far as pass protection. Okay. But he's got some intangibles that are really good. For example, he's 6'2". I think that 220, something like that. He runs downhill and he can catch the ball out of the backfield pretty well.
What round would you like them to take him?
4th or 5th.
You think you think he'd still be there 4th or 5th?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It's a deep draft in running backs. It's a deep draft. Like Scrapper said, listen, you're going to see Scatterbo drop to that low. And I think Scatterbo's a hell of a back.
He gets mixed there, but I'll tell you what, the best thing for the running back room is going to be is if this line comes together. And I think it can. I think the line has potential to be a really good line. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns, but if that line comes together, that's going to be the best asset for who's ever in the running back room.
Yeah, we said that. Well, some of us said that, Scrap. We like the line to come together. Some of us don't.
We all like for them to come together. I mean, I'd like to. I'm rocking a party ball right now. I wish it was a 6-pack, but we can't all get what we want. You know what I mean? Yes, we want the line to come together. You know what I mean? But here's the thing, and real quick as we talk line. I only want to be a brief second because I want to get to these different positions we're going to talk about free agency. I'm worried about Jones now at left tackle since Moore gone. He couldn't beat Moore out, and he was a true. How good will he be at left tackle? Then the other guys are young. They have no proven veteran on that line that can help. And that I don't know, fellas. Anytime we see a line that does well and has a nice running game, they'll say, well, this offensive line has had X amount of starts together. They've been playing well, that or whatever. It's not the case.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
All right. They're going to jail, man. I'm telling you, I like the center, the guard. I'm excited about this line. I'm real excited.
The Steelers
just
signed this guy. The Steelers signed a guy by the name of Leticus, Leticus, Leticus.
He said,
"Come on,
let me spell it."
Listen. My brother's on the other side of this. Break that shit down for me. How do you say Leticus? Huh?
Call him by his last name.
Yeah, I don't know how. I've been trying to figure it out myself.
All right, Leticus Smith. All right, they signed this dude. Guess what he is? He's an offensive tackle.
Yes.
He's an offensive tackle.
So wait, how many years has he been in the league, and he's
been in the league about 4 or 5 years now.
Is this his second team or is this his third or fourth team?
Third team. Third team. Yep. Look.
So I hate to beat on a dead horse. We're going to get a guy who hasn't been opportunity, can't catch on anywhere, and we're going to bring him to Pittsburgh and hope Tomlin and his O-line coach can develop this guy.
It's not Munchak.
That's what I'm saying. That's what worries me, fellas. That's what worries me.
We got to get off that.
I think the line could use a little interior help, and just hope that Jones can play. I think they need a little interior help, and hopefully things fall together. Because that's a great point. I mean, offensive lines, the number of starts they have as a unit, that matters. It definitely matters. And we don't have that. But this one area I have hope.
Hey, it's Lecitus, Barber. Lecitus.
My dad always said he gave me and my brother names with job potential. Michael Mills, Robert Mills. Anybody can pronounce them. You do not need to guess and add. And no,
he plays football, Chop. He plays football.
I hear you talking. They didn't know that when they named the young chappie, though.
Lecitus.
All right, fellas. All right, what do we got? Shane, real quick before we get up out of here on the positions. Some of the top guys at different positions. I want to know what you guys are thinking. Tight ends and O lines.
Well, I don't know if tight end's a position that we need to go after per se. I know they need to always do their due diligence. Whether they do it or not, I don't know. But in terms of tight ends, top tight ends in the draft, I don't know. I mean, I like the Warren kid, but the Warren kid.
Oh, he's going to be gone. He's gone. Yeah, he's gone. Real quick, the only reason I even talk about tight end, as great as Freiermuth is, I'm worried about that concussion. I mean, and I understand any player on any given play can have a concussion, but he gets another one, it would be different because he's had so many. And Washington is a huge cat, whatever they have, but he's not doing a whole lot.
He's underutilized. Why don't we throw the ball to him more? Every time we throw the ball to him, he's open, he catches it, he gets yards.
Listen, Barbara, I need you to send a contract to scrap tonight. Okay?
Hold on.
I like what he's talking about. That's what I'm saying. Give the man the ball. Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, every time he has the opportunity, he comes through.
Here's the only reason I clap back on that. Because even in college, Georgia only used him. They didn't even use him much. Now, I understand they had significantly good talent, but the Georgia, as big as he was, University of Georgia, he's bigger than any other defenders he's playing against. So I don't know, between Georgia, there's something in this cat nobody's seeing. I don't know what it is. And maybe they're leaving him open because they know he can't catch. I don't know. But for me, I do think about that. I do think about that as well. Washington is, the size, this, that, and third, but he wasn't even utilized much in in Georgia.
But look at all the cats they had around him.
Yeah, you didn't need him. I mean, you didn't need to utilize him.
He's a great second tight end. I mean, at his size, he catches the ball. I like the guy. I really do.
I think he should have been converted to offensive tackle, personally.
I did think that too. Because then you bring in a 6'7" Donald Parham.
I like him.
You got 6'7" Donald Parham chops. What you think about that?
There are two guys, fellas. There are two guys that are coming out in the draft this year that I like. They're sub 4.7 runners at the tight end spot. One kid's name is Elijah Arroyo. from the U.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah. He's athletic too. 6'5", 250, 260.
He's 6'4", but yeah, he's very athletic. He's very athletic. And then this kid from LSU, another
Taylor.
6'5" kid.
Jason Taylor's son. Yes.
Yes. I think these two guys right here, if you're gonna dip your toes in the water to get yourself a tight end, I think you got to look in that direction, because you do have Washington, like you guys said, who is a blocking tight end. You need these guys to get out into a pattern out of the slot, out of a double tight set, and one tight end stays home to help out while the other one is part of the passing route. If you're going to go that route, if you're going to draft a tight end, in my opinion, you got to be looking at somebody who is like a receiver as a tight end, not just a blocking tight end anymore.
Of course, we all got Warren. Yeah, I'm sorry, Barbara. Of course, we all got Warren as a top tight end, but it's kind of crazy because Aurora was my number 2 and Mason was my number 3, and Aurora was more athletic, I think. But Mason, because of his stock, his father, his dad from Woodland Hills, whatever have you. Yeah, I do think he could come in and be, even though the Steelers' mindset is not the Steelers' mindset anymore, but I just think he's rough and he'll learn and he'll work. I like Taylor.
I want in on this conversation.
Go ahead.
Aronde Gatz in the second. You remember he played for the Steelers? Remember that?
Yeah.
6'5", 235, runs a 4.5. Hello.
He runs a 4.5.
I don't know why we're even talking about tight end. When
Youth was scrap. I was just playing along with him. Scrap. I'm just playing along.
I know, but I don't know if we're not going to utilize a guy like that, then why are we bothering, bringing him on?
Well, which is insane, because this is the style of offense that Arthur Smith
that's
normally
the modern
runs.
day. That's where we're stuck in the in the dark ages offensively. So why bring another guy on like that? Our tight end room's fine. Give me 2 defensive linemen.
I agree with that.
That's coming. That's coming. Let's take a look at the top 3 receivers from our perspective. Now, Tatoria McMillan, Teteroa McMillan, however the fuck you say his name.
T-Mac.
T-Mac. He literally had a terrible combine, and he did not do much better in his pro day. The Golden Kid from Texas, he's going to be a deep threat. The Steelers really need a deep threat. I like the Bergen Kid. The Bergen Kid's 5'11", though. He runs a 4.41, but he's 210 pounds. That's a nice size. I do like the kid from Ohio State. He's rated.
That's what I like. I like him.
Love him. Yep.
OSU receivers, maybe not their quarterbacks, but their receivers, they do work at the next level. I like him.
Yeah.
As somebody, if the offense could get innovative, I like him as that slot guy.
But we're not going to take him now because we got Metcalf. But I mean, Ibuka, before we got Metcalf, I loved Ibuka. This guy's a ready-made pro.
Scrapper, real quick. How long do you think they're going to keep Pickens?
I got the answer to that.
Go ahead.
Dante Thornton, Tennessee, 6'5", 230, 215, ran a 4.3. Bring him in this year. Late, of course. Late. He's late. And then you go ahead and you groom him for that, that spot. Next year. Let Pickens play. Me, I said trade him. I said to trade him before the draft, but
They're not going to trade him until they have somebody viable to put in that position, because they found themselves in that same position last year.
I know.
And there's a kid out of LSU that you can get a little bit later in the draft that I really like. What the hell's his name here?
LSU?
He's out of LSU.
Yeah, what's his name?
He's
had us taking him. It's like 5, I think.
Yeah, 5 or 6. I like this kid. He can play ball. He's an LSU receiver, which tells me a lot about him. Here it is. Kieran Lacey. 6'2".
Oh, Lacey.
Yeah. 6'2", 213. Now he runs a 4.52, which doesn't impress me. Yeah. But he can contribute in a lot of different ways. Okay. And let's not forget that a guy like Jerry Rice came into the NFL without that breakaway. You know, he didn't necessarily have that demanding speed, but once you got the ball in his hands, he pulled away.
Yeah.
So-
No, listen.
Barber, hold on. Barber, I love you. We grew up together. He came in under the great Bill Walsh, who invented probably the West Coast offense. He's accredited to West Coast offense.
Yes, I know.
I love Tomlin, but to put Tomlin in his offensive mind in the same sentence
Does he
as
have a son,
Walsh,
Chops? Chops, doesn't Walsh have a son?
man, look here.
But hold on, before we go, I like, again, another guy from TCU, 6'5", 215, 4.48, Savion Williams. He played receiver and running back at TCU.
Yeah, he started out as running back, I believe, and they flexed him
did.
out because of his speed.
Yes, he did.
Yep, I believe so.
6'5".
So one of the mocks I saw had them taking Jalen Milroe in
Yes, I've
the
seen that script.
third round.
Yep,
And I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I don't mean to direct the
I'll
conversation.
jump off the
here.
roof of my house to my death
Yeah, I don't like
if
this.
they
I don't
take
like
him. He's absolutely horrible. He's not
You
ready.
know, if we're going to take anybody, it got to be the guy from Louisville. He's older, but he's played a lot more, and that way
Tyler
we don't got to worry
Sharp.
about Tomlin. Don't got to coach him up. He should be somewhat coached up.
Scrapper, my thing, and I said this to me, he is not as athletic or a good a quarterback, but he can probably do a lot of the same things Justin Fields could do. Why would you let Fields just walk out of the building when if you're going to bring Milroe in? That would, to me, because Fields, hell, like I said, I truly believe if the Steelers offense would mimic what the Eagles did with Hurst, I think Fields could have been successful, but no imagination.
They got a great team. They had a great team around Jalen Hurts.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't ask him to do much.
Yeah, he's not a superstar. You can go ahead
No.
and say he's a superstar because he's the quarterback. He's not a superstar. He's
He's an above
exactly what he's
average.
asked
He's
to do.
an above average. Yeah, I would put him around, 8, 9, 10 as quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. He's a top 10,
because
but he's not a superstar.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not franchise level, but he's definitely a good quarterback, though. And the best attribute he has, he's a humble dude. Because
Yeah.
the Eagles had a great team. So during the season, all he really needed to do was just kind of go with the flow. But when in the playoffs, those last 2 games, when they needed him to do something special, he did it. He showed up and he did it. So I love that guy.
Yeah,
Hey, by the way,
I'm feeling you.
I think we're going to skip O lineman because the Steelers are not going to dip their toes into the water for an O lineman. I think they'll continue to pick up some free agent O linemen. But I do want to inform you that Tommy Pham got his second at bat, and guess what he did, guys?
Struck out
with 2 guys on. Pirates are down 1-0, top of the 4th. So
and before we go, I got trivia. We ready?
Okay, bring it on, brother man.
Hey, what 80s sitcom dad was signed to the Steelers? Didn't make the team, but he was signed.
On, brother. Love and marriage. Love and marriage.
Yeah.
More importantly than that.
Ed O'Neill, right?
Yes. More importantly than that.
Wait, what school did he go to?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, shit.
What did you ask?
What school? What college?
Crazy part is he's a black belt under Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
What college you go to, Shane?
Youngstown State.
He's a penguin. He's a penguin.
Man, you guys are good. I didn't know that when I seen it. I said, man, I'm gonna stump him with this one.
No, come on, brother.
I wish you guys could see me. I don't know what's going on my camera now, but I got my Arkansas Razorbacks gear on. You guys have got on your Steelers stuff. Got my repping my Razorbacks. Sweet 16 again, 4th time in 5 years.
Scrap, how'd you get to Arkansas? How'd you become an Arkansas fan?
I grew up there as a kid.
Oh, okay.
And we left there when I was 12, and it's just kept the Razorback thing my whole life. So
okay, cool.
I don't get, especially in football, I don't get much to cheer about, but woo pig.
How'd you become a Steelers fan?
Well, I mean, I live in Scottsdale now, which, if you read any of my stuff, when we first moved up here and I was 12, I wanted to be anything but a Steelers fan. I was a Raiders fan. I was a Houston Oils or Oral Camel. I was just going against the grain, but I eventually acquiesced because I live here. But I'm almost come full circle. I'm like almost not a Steelers fan anymore because I'm just so dismayed with. I don't have Rasheed's hope. I'll put it that way.
Yo,
I got it.
You guys will not be invited to my Super Bowl party. None of y'all.
Hey, listen. I hope you have a Super Bowl party for the Steelers. I really do. I never lose faith. I never lose faith, but man, they ain't giving me anything to have faith in right now.
Yeah, we don't got any good teams in Pittsburgh. We don't got good teams, good owners, good management, nothing.
Yep. It's a tough year. Fellas, let's close this out, man. Let's go ahead and close this out. Merle, you got some closing thoughts, or you got some anything you want to add to the end of the show? You got some social medias you want to share where you put some insight up?
I mean, hey, this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast, done a podcast. I texted my older son shortly before I went on. I said, hey, I'm going to be on the podcast. And he just thought that was really cool. Yeah. And I mean, I appreciate it. I love talking to guys that actually know their shit and have an opinion based on knowing their shit. And you guys are definitely that.
Well, thanks for joining us, man. That's why
I love this. Chops and I are going to be buddies, I can tell.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Shane, I don't know if you know this about
only if you're a curmudgeon can you be friends with Chops.
Hold on. Scrapper, do you know Sheen? Like, have you guys ever met?
Oh.
No. All I know is a little bit through Mark. And, yeah, I mean, I read his stuff, though. I really like it.
So that means you're coming back, right?
Sheen is from Pittsburgh, born and raised, and doesn't like a sandwich. I can't even. That to me,
come on.
I will never get over that. He doesn't eat sandwiches.
Hey, we won't even open up the Jerry Dulac conversation we had yesterday.
Oh yes, and we have to touch on before we go when you try to use my who do they play against me? You can't use that in college. We only use that in the pros. We've never used it in college. Find a conversation where we use it in college. I've never used it. I've only said it in the pros. If you run around covering bums, you ain't that great, man. You Asante Samuels. But if you locking down the man, you prime time.
Okay.
We've never found it. You got all night.
I'll be straight up with you. I hope Dallas trades Dak to the Browns so that Shador gets drafted by Dallas, so we can watch them continue to spiral and watch Cleveland continue to spiral.
But if Shador is there at 21, do you take him?
No, no. I'd rather have his dad come out of retirement and play corner.
I don't know, Scrap. I'm torn. I'd take the guy from Louisville. That's where I'd be pointing that way because you could probably get him later.
Hey, you bought into the freaking what I was selling you. That's why I showed you all those clips. That kid can play football.
Yeah, you did. You told me. Yeah, and I went and looked at him.
Play football. He reminds me of Tom Brady.
I like him.
He reminds me of Tom Brady. That's what he reminds me of. When I watched him play, I was like, damn, his style, his moxie out there, his demand of the field, his control of the game. This is like watching Brady play. Now, this is me though. Somebody else might see it from a different perspective, but that's how I saw it.
Okay, I ain't mad at it.
Tape matters. Tape matters. We get too caught up in these combine numbers. Tape matters.
Exactly.
So listen, before we go, Scrap, you coming back?
I'll be here whenever I'm asked.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Can we leave on a cliffhanger? Do we trade TJ Watt? Good night.
I would love to. Give the guy get out of jail free card. Do what like we did with Saquon. Give the guy a chance to go win a Super Bowl because it's not happening here, and maybe get some draft capital for him. Give the guy a chance.
Wow.
There you go. Chops, tell us how we can follow you, how we can hear you. You put some nice clips out there.
Oh man, come on! You know where you can find your boy on Facebook, my government, Michael Gregory Mills. On TikTok, it is what is it? Big Chop 79 is on the Instagram. On TikTok, you can find me. Let me see, where am I? On Big Chops 824. Just holla at your boy.
Shane, we find you everywhere.
I'm Rasheen Hill. I'm everywhere. I ain't hard to find. You looking for me? They say the Walkersville High School football team coaches are looking for me. I'm everywhere, guys. You can find me.
For those of you who know us, this is a spinoff of our original sports podcast with Mark Maraday. Please make sure you join us Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock as we talk all sports not just Steeler football. Terrible talk is all Steeler all the time. So we love that you join us. Feel free to reach out to us by emailing us at originalsportspodcast@gmail.com. Anywhere you find us on social media, we can talk Terrible Talk or we can talk Original Sports Podcast. So please reach out to us and join us next week, next Thursday, as we talk terrible about the Pittsburgh Steelers again.